Hello, hello. Does it work? Yeah, all right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Building LiveChat Apps 101. Connect your chatbot with LiveChat using webhooks webinar. My name is Michał, and I'll host the webinar today. In my everyday work, I'm responsible for developer relations at LiveChat, but today I'll step into developer shoes and try to connect a chatbot with LiveChat by myself. If you notice any audio or video issues, just leave a comment on the chat and I'll do my best to fix this immediately. What we are going to do today, as it says in the title, we will connect LiveChat with chatbot using our webhooks and APIs. I'm going to use our chatbot product, but I'm going to show you the general idea of how you can connect basically any AI tool with LiveChat using our APIs. So let me show you how it works. Let's go to the browser. All right, so here we have our chat widget. We start a new conversation. We say hello, and the bot should answer to us immediately. So it sends, our application basically sends the information, gets the webhook from LiveChat, then sends the information to chatbot with the customer message, and then a chatbot returns the response, and we send it to the chat widget, so our customer have the answer right away. So this seems like a simple integration, but there are a few things that have to be done in order for this to work. I have also created a sample configuration page for our integration that handles the authorization and management of the bots. So this is how it looks. It uses our authorization method, which is sign in with LiveChat. Whenever I log in right here, it says that I'm authorized. It shows my email address and presents the list of bots. It's like a simple configuration page for management of our bots. We can create a new one. And this information will be sent to our application, and all the requests to our APIs is done on the backend. Then it returns all the information to the front end. So we will remove this first bot. We can select this bot to be used in our integration, and as you can see in a chat window, now we are talking to new bot too. So this is how it works. Let's start with the general agenda of today's webinar and all the topics that we'll cover today. So first of all, we are going to create an app in the developer console. Then we'll move to a configuration page, so the page that I've shown you. So using our configuration API and accounts SDK for the authorization. Then we'll see how does it work with the chatbot. So we will go to the chatbot to see their documentation and how we will get the authorization from them as well. And at the end, we will finally go to the point where all those things come together and where we are going to exchange all the messages. So send the messages to chatbot, receive the answers, and send them to our customer using Agent Chat API. And of course, at the end, we'll have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, you can drop them on the chat, and I'll try to answer them at the end of our webinar today. Let's see now what things are we going to need to create such an application. First of all, we need LiveChat account and developer console account. They both came with a LiveChat account. You can create one for free on our website. There's a 2 weeks free trial. I'm using Chatbot in this example, so I'm going to need Chatbot account as well. And for hosting, I'm using Firebase, but if you have your own hosting, it's totally fine. You can use your hosting here. I'm going to use Firebase to host my configuration page. And finally, the most important thing here, LiveChat documentation, because so you could know how to make all the requests and how to create our app correctly. All right. So now let's begin with a LiveChat account. So if you don't have one, you can go to livechat.com and create one for free. I have done my account before, so I'm logged in already. Let's then go to developers.livechat.com/console. And once you're logged in for the first time, it will ask you to fill one question poll. And then we go to the apps on the top left corner, this icon, and we are going to create new app, this big blue button in top right corner. All right. Let's name our app. You can name it whatever you want. It can be changed later, so don't worry. And as for the app template, we are going to use agent app widget. Then just hit continue, and here we are in our app. It's already created. Now what we need to do, we need to add building blocks to it. We are going to use 2 building blocks. One of them is agent app widget, and the other one is app authorization. So in agent app widget, just hit this pencil button right here to edit, because the default one is not the one that we need here. Right here we need to place the URL of our configuration page. And about the widget placement, let's use app settings. All right. Then hit continue, and that's it. That's it about the agent app widget. We can go to the authorization block. Okay, so hit the building blocks from the menu on the left, and then use the get started in the app authorization block. All right. Here you can choose if you're building a JavaScript app or server-side app. Our app will work on the server side, so let's click that one and hit the continue button. All right, and this is our authorization for our app. What's important here is client ID and client secret. Both of them will be used by us in our code today, so make sure to save them, especially client secret, because after the page reloads, it won't be available anymore. So make sure to save that so it won't be lost later if you need to use it in your code. All right. About the redirect URI, this is important because redirect URI is the address of our app that will receive the authorization code, and we are going to need that in order to make calls to the LiveChat API. So use the same address as we used before in agent app widget, so the address of our configuration page. Hit this add button and then save changes at the top. All right, almost done here. The next thing and the last one is to specify the app scopes and API access. We need to give the app the scopes and the access to a few requests, to the few scopes that are going to be used with our integration. So we are going to need 4 scopes for our bot. So I'm going to hit there and say just bot, just add all of them. Each one is for different scopes and from different access, but we need all of them, so make sure to add them here. Then we need the scopes that allow us to send the messages to the customers. So let's add all the chat conversation scopes here. And the last one will be for the transfer. So when we are talking to our bot, we want to have an option to take over the chat. and let the application to transfer the chat to the real human agent. And for that, we need to add all the chat access scopes. So the chat access, this one, chats all, oh, sorry, and of course chats my. How do I know which scopes should I use? When you go to the our documentation and you select the method on from the menu, here you have the required scopes for this method to work. So once you use them, you will be able to perform this request. All right, so once we added all our scopes, let's hit the Save Changes button at the top, and we are good to go. Our authorization is ready. We can now go to our code where all the things happens. All right. Now, our app is split into 4 core files: index.html, app.js, and style.css. It's for our configuration page, and index.js is for our server. We will start with a configuration page. So I'll explain how does it work, what does it use to work, and how does it communicate with our server. So what you've probably seen, we are using Axios library, and we are using it only to send requests to our server and tell the server what to do and what kind of requests sent to our LiveChat API. Next thing here is sign with LiveChat SDK. It's for this button, which we use to log in and to get the authorization in order that will allow us to make the calls to the API. Then we just use the HTML to create the whole page. Right here we are using the sign with LiveChat button and the whole list of bots and the option to create a new bot. And at the end of the file we have the script from sign with LiveChat. So let me show you in the documentation how does it look. All right, so when you are in documentation in sign with LiveChat documentation, as you can see, it's just a simple button that gives you the authorization on the agent behalf, so you can create bots or make requests to our API. And as you can see, the first step here is to create new app. We already done that. Then we have to use the SDK library. We are using the one that is hosted by CDN. And we have to prepare the button container in our code. That's done already. And finally, we need to initialize the SDK. And once as you can see in the code, once the SDK is initialized and the identity is fetched, so whenever agent logs in, we have to do we specify the instructions for this code. So let's go back to our code, and as you can see, I'm using the console log to log the information about the logged in user, and then I send the authorization. I'm using the auth send function to send the data to this function, but we'll get there. What's important here, we have to replace the client ID with the ID from our application, so make sure to do that. And what's different from the default code here, default snippet, that we are using the code here as a response type. By default, the sign with LiveChat gives us the access token that gives us the right to make the calls instantly. but we are using response type code to get to later exchange it for access token and refresh token. And it allows our bot to answer chats all the time. We don't have to, like, every time we want our bot to be active, we would have to every few hours go right here and log in and log in and log in all over again. With the code, we are getting refresh token, which allows us to refresh the access token every time it expires, all the time, so our bot always stay active. All right, and at the end we load the app.js file, so we'll go right there. Okay. Okay, let me check if you see that. All right, everything's fine. All right, and right here in app.js file, we start with setting up the instance of our Axios. Right here for the base URL, you have to specify the URL of your server. I'm using the ngroup, so my localhost server will be served for the public websites, but of course you have to set here your own server. All right, and for the headers we are using just application JSON in content type. Here we go for our first function, which is auth send. Basically, it just sends the code to our backend, to our application. So we just set up the payload of this function, attaching our code, and then we just send post to our server and this endpoint, and send all the data there. After we get the response, we log the response in the console to make sure everything works fine. It's just for the debugging purposes. And then we trigger the bot list function. We'll get there in a moment. And as a result, we're also hiding the live chat button, because once the user is authorized, we don't need to show it anymore. We show the information that the user is authorized, and additionally, I'm also showing the information with email address of the person that's logged in. All right, let's jump to the bot list function. So it just sends the post to our application, to the bot list endpoint, and our application does everything on the backend, sending the request to our LiveChat API and send the information back with the list of bots right here, and then we just render the list on our website. There are also a few styles from our design system, so make sure to check out our design system too. Make sure your app and your configuration page looks nice within the LiveChat environment. All right, the next thing here will be creating the bot. So we're just sending the bot name to our application, and then the application creates the bot using that information, sending the request to LiveChat API. About the bot select, it just sends the number of the bot that should be used within the integration, and it of course sets the button to be in different colors, so we knew which one has been selected. And the last one here in configuration page will be bot remove. Basically, we just send the bot number to our application, and our application asks LiveChat to remove the bot from the license. All right. So this is it about our configuration page. There's also styles.css file. Basically, it's just our design system with a few minor changes. So I'm not going to explain that. You can just go to design system and use it directly in your app. So let's go to the index.js, our backend. So first of all, we need to change everything here that is not specified yet. So starting by course options, we are using the course because to avoid the cross-site errors. And for the configuration page URL, we are using the Firebase URL. So let's paste it here. All right, and the next here will be the secret key. You have to specify the secret key for your webhooks for the authorization. This one right here will be used to create the webhooks with this secret key. I know this is not the safe way to store this information. I'm just showing it for like example purposes. Make sure to save it in your database or use some more secure mechanism to get this token every time you need it, and not keep it as a const in your application. The next thing here will be your server URL. So again, the URL of your server where your file is hosted, where your server node server is hosted. It will be used for webhooks. So whenever we create new bot, we also ask LiveChat to send webhooks for that bot to this address. All right. Next thing here is about to replace the client ID, client secret, and redirect URI from our developer console. So everything you get before from our console, you need to place it right here. And that's it. There are also two things that have to be replaced, but they are from Chatbot, and we'll get to that later. So let's leave it for a moment. And let's go directly to our code and how the application works itself. All right. Right here, I've specified the global variables for access token and refresh token. Again, this is not a good practice to save them like that, so make sure to move it to database or use more secure mechanism to use them. I'm using them as a global variables only for the example. And here I'll also attach the information about to do. What you should do here to make this more secure. Okay, so let's move on. Here we set up our instances for our Axios. So first one is for our authorization, so Accounts API. Second one is for our LiveChat API, both for configuration page and for configuration API and for Agent Chat API. And the third one is for a chatbot, for the chatbot. All right. Then we start to run our app. So use the course and also set up the listen for the webhooks. And first thing basic that has to be done in order for our app to work is authorization. So whenever we get the information to an auth endpoint from our configuration page and we get the code, we are using our accounts SDK, accounts API to exchange that one for access token and refresh token. Let me show you in the browser how it looks in our documentation. So, all right, it's right here. Okay, in authorization, agent authorization flow, and public server-side apps. Here are a few steps that has to be done in order to use that. First one is creating the app. We already did that. Step 2 and step 3 is about the acquiring the code using the redirect, but we acquired the code using sign with LiveChat, so we don't have to do that one. And the third one is the fourth step here is to exchange code for access token and for refresh token. And we're just using this sample request from the right side. This is exactly what we are using here. And here are all the required parameters. Okay, let's go back to the code. As you can see in our body, we are using this grant type is authorization code. The code is the one that we get from our configuration page. Then we specify client ID, client secret, redirect URI, and that's it. Then we send this all this to the token endpoint from our accounts livechat.inc.com API, and we get the refresh token and access token back, and we set them in our variables. All right, so this is it about the authorization for now. As you've seen in the configuration page, the first thing that our application do right after the authorization is done, it fetches the list of bots. So we get the information from the configuration page to get the list of our bots, and we need to perform the request to get them. So let's jump back to the browser and let's see how to do that one. All right, so right here we have this getBot agent method, which gets us all the agents that are added to the LiveChat license. And here is an example. We're using exact one. Here also in the documentation for each method you have the scopes that you need, and in the response you get the information about the bot ID, name, avatar status, and all the other things that the bot agent details contain. There's also one additional parameter that's not required. It allows you to specify if you would like to get all the bots on the license or only the bots that you've created with your client ID. We are going to get only the bots that were created by our application. So we are going to use this body, this parameter all false. So we get only the bots that were created by us before and by our application. All right, so then we send this body to configuration action getBot agents endpoint. We use our authorization that we gained before, so access token, and in response we get all the data. We get the list of bots. I'm also using console log to show the number of bots in the console, but as I said before, it's only for easy debugging. You don't have to use that one. And if we get an error, we are also sending this information, of course, to our configuration page, so we can render the list of bots in the browser. But if you get any error, like unauthorized, we are using this auth exchange method, which is used to function, which is used to exchange the refresh token to get new access token if our current one is expired or doesn't work anymore or has been revoked. We just get the new one and we return the information to the configuration page that there was some authorization error and ask to try again. And of course, if there's any different error, we also send this there. I will explain this auth exchange in a moment. Let's move on to the next request that can be made by our configuration page. So next one is to create a new bot. Once we get the bot name from the request sent to bot create, we just send the request to create new bot according to what we see in our documentation. So right here there are two parameters that are required. This is the name and the status. So as you can see here, the name is required and the status is required, but we also want the bot not only to exist on the license but also to get the webhooks. So we can specify the webhooks to the bot as well. So let's go back to the code, and as you can see, we are selecting the name that we get from the front-end page. We select the status accepting chats. I've also set here the avatar. This is some random picture for the bot, but if you want, you can edit your configuration page so your users will be able to select which image the bot should have. And then we go to the webhooks object. So we have to specify the URL for the webhook. Here it will be our server URL and the action that will trigger the action that the webhook will be triggered on. So the only action that we need here and that we are going to use in this example is incoming event. So every event that's coming to the chat with the bot, so the bot is present in the conversation, it will trigger this webhook. But to make this to avoid the situation where the bot triggers the webhooks from the messages that the bot sent, we are using this filter author type the customer. So only and only when customer sends the message to the chat where the bot is the part of, we will send the webhook to your server URL. And then at the end we'll have also specified the secret key for our webhook. And thanks to that, we know that the webhook is coming from the secure source. All right. Once we have the body created, we can send it directly to configuration action create bot agent with our access token. And once the bot is created, we return the information to our frontend and show the bot on the bot list. What's more, if there is some unauthorized error, we are doing exactly the same. So we are trying to exchange the authorization and then send the information that there was some error about the authorization to our configuration page. The next thing is a select bot. This one only attached the bot number from the front-end side to this variable bot number. So our request to the agent chat API will know which bot should send the message to the chat. So this doesn't do much, but this is very important. We will discuss this. I'll talk more about this later today. We are about to finish in about 15-20 minutes, so stay with me just a little bit longer. The next thing here is to remove bot. When we get the request to remove bot, we get the bot number. We just send this number to our configuration API, and then the bot is removed. Let me show you in the browser how does it look. Right here you have the remove bot agent request. You just type bot agent, and in response you get the information that the bot has been removed. All right, so let's back to the code. And again, if there is some problem with authorization, we try to exchange it to get the right to get the new access token. So let's go to this function. Here it is, the refresh token, and this is very similar to the one that we used that we done before with the code. But instead of grant type refresh token here and the code, instead of grant type authorization code, we're using a refresh token, and instead of code in our body, we are using the refresh token that we obtained before by exchanging code for access token and refresh token. So right here, you just specify the grant type, refresh token, client ID, and client secret, send it to the token endpoint, and in response, you get the new access token that can be used in your application. All right, and now I believe we are getting to the point where we will talk more about the Chatbot API and how to make calls to the Chatbot API. All right, so whenever we get the webhook from LiveChat, I'm using a lot of console logs to show it right here. So we show what kind of action has triggered the webhook. We show the chat ID, the author of the message and of the action, and the message if there was any. Then I just set the chat ID, and later on we are sending the information, the message from the customer. We are sending it to our chatbot, to Chatbot API. Right here you can see also the information about the transferring chat, but we'll get back to this later. What's important for us here is this body for chatbot request. So let's go to the browser and let's let's go back to the code, and we will fill the information about the chatbot at the beginning of our document. So those two constants that we didn't fill before. First one is the story ID. In Chatbot, every story you have has its own ID that has like the different responses and different triggers for the conversation. So once you get to your story right here, the story ID is in the URL. So basically, you copy that one, go to your code, and paste it right here, and that's it. And about this client access token, let's go to the settings in the bottom left corner. Then from the menu on the left, choose the API keys and copy the client access token from here and paste it into your code right here. And this is it. About the authorization and the story ID, now we need to know how to make the request to the Chatbot API. So let's go to their documentation. There are a bunch of different ways of using the Chatbot API. You can go for the archives. You can talk with the bot. You can make many other things. We only need the talk with bot option, the easiest, the simpler one. So we're using this post method to query endpoint to get in response the answer from our bot. So this is how it looks. Let's get back to the code to see how it looks here. All right. So we specify the body. So we specify the query. The query will be the text from our customer, which is in a payload object, in event, and in text. The story ID, we are using the story ID that we specified at the beginning of the code, and the session ID here will be our chat ID, because the chat ID never changes in live chat for one customer. We are sure that it will be always the same for this session. All right, and we send this to our query endpoint with the chatbot authorization, and in response we get the chatbot response right here. I'm also using console log for the debug to show it in the console, and then we use the send message function to send the information to the chat. So in the send message, this is the last thing here. We are just sending the message to LiveChat using Agent Chat API. So once more, let's go to the browser. Let's go to LiveChat documentation. It will be in messaging, Agent Chat API. And in Agent Chat API, we have to select the methods and which method we want to use. We are going to use event and send event, as we are going to send the message event right to the chat. This is the default and the easiest way to send the message to the chat. You just send the request to send event endpoint using chat ID and event object with the type of it, the text if this is the message event, and the who should receive this message. It can be set to all, so everyone that attends the conversation will see it, or you can choose this to be available only for agents. So if the message is supposed to be sent as a hidden one for the supervisor, you can set it up here. All right, so let's go to the code and see how it looks. As you can see, we specify the chat ID, we select the event type message, the text is the response for our chatbot, and the recipients are all. So both agent and customer will get the message. Then we set this information to send event endpoint of our Agent Chat API with our access token in headers, and right here is the very important thing, the X author ID with our bot number. Thanks to that, our application sends the request on behalf of the bot, which makes the message shown in chat to be visible as it was sent by the bot, not by us. If you remove that one, it may cause the confusion for your customer, because it will send the message that you get from chatbot as you send it, so as a real agent. And in even worse scenario, it may not work at all. So make sure to use that one with your bot number to make sure it will be sent from your bot, and not from you as a personal human agent. Then I'm just using again a lot of console logs to show the information in the console. And right here, if we get unauthorized error, we are using auth exchange to exchange our refresh token for access token, and also we are using this send message once again to make sure that our message will be sent to the customer. So we are trying this all over again. I also set here the to-do information to add a few tries limit, so create a simple loop that will retry this a few times in order to avoid the infinite loop in case of some bigger authorization problem instead of just token expiration. So you can also create some different mechanism here if you want. I would recommend not to use it directly in this way, but change it a little bit so it will stop after a few tries. And our final thing, additional feature to our bot, transfer the chat to the real human agent. And let me show you how it works. I've set it so whenever the customer says the transfer to the chat, the bot transfers the message to the human agent and sends the message that you have been transferred. So right now, as you can see, I can now talk to our customer and as a human agent, so I hand over the chat by myself. And in the code, it looks like this. It basically... Oh, sorry, let me show how I trigger this one. Okay, where was it? Okay, whenever we get the new message from our webhook, I'm checking if the text the text is transferred. You can create your own mechanism here. You can do it whatever way you want to hand over the chat from your bot. I'm using this one because it seems easy, and sometimes the customers are getting used to it, that whenever they come to chat and they want to talk to human agent, they just type transfer to get transferred immediately. I'm just then using the transfer chat function, which works in the simplest way ever. So it just sends the chat to the selected target. In the body, we have to specify the chat ID and the target. The target here, you can select the type. It can be a group or it can be an agent, a direct agent that should receive it. I'm sending it to the group. What's more, I'm sending it to the group 0. 0 group in LiveChat means that it's a general group which contains every agent in your LiveChat license. So in this situation, I'm sending the chat to the one agent that is available to get new chats in the license, and this whole body is sent to agent action transfer chat endpoint. Again, we are using the authorization our access token, and we are using xAuthor ID here with our bot number to make sure that the transfer is performed by our bot, not we are transferring the chat by ourselves, because it somehow may look weird later in archives or for the customer if it says the information, if they see the information about it. All right. And again, you can hear if the transfer didn't work, because the authorization issues, you can add here some loop to make sure it won't try to trigger this infinite time. And I believe this is it. This is it about what we had for today. So what we made today is just the idea of how the integration may look like. The default integration, the ready integration with Chatbot that we have is much better. It has much more features, so make sure to check that one out. The links are in the description of this video, of this webinar. So there are much more different ways of communicating with bot, like the rich messaging, some advanced ways to handle the chats. So make sure to check that one in the description. The bot also have option to tag your conversation automatically. As you can see, there are many different functions. Make sure also to check the article created by Cognigy AI about their approach of integrating their AI tool with LiveChat. This one is also in the description. They've created this integration in a kind of different way, but it also works. They're also showing the step-by-step tutorial how to make that one. So I think you might be interested in that one too. And I think that's it. So let's go to our Q&A session. If you have any questions, just drop them on the chat, and I'll try to answer them immediately. If you have any more complicated questions or don't want to send them on chat, you can send me an email to developers@livechat.com. It's presented already on the screen. I will wait a moment if there were any questions, and then I think we will be good to go and to end today's session. Oh, additional information. All of this that we have done today will be on GitHub. The link is in the description. In about half an hour, I believe, or even faster, we will make it public, so you can simply just download all the code, use it by yourself. So yeah, so it will be public for everyone. You can use it in your integration. It's totally fine. All right, let's see if there are any questions. All right, I believe the delay is not that long, so thank you very much everyone for attending today. I hope that you find this webinar helpful, and I hope to see you next time. If you have any feedback or any questions, make sure to send them to our email. Also, you have any ideas for the next webinar, send them as well. It's I will really appreciate that. I hope you all stay safe. Thank you very much for being with me today, and see you next time. Bye bye.